Herzlich willkommen, meine lieben Xbox- und Greenscreen-Freunde. In wenigen Wochen beginnt bereits die E3 2017 und wir werden sicher wieder überrollt von tollen Ankündigungen sowie Eindrücken. Da wir die Spannung kaum aushalten, waren wir auf einem Pre-E3-Event von Warner Bros. Interactive Entertainment und konnten dabei viele Infos für euch in Erfahrung bringen. Den Anfang machen wir mit frischen Details zu Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2. Das soll nun am 17. November 2017 erscheinen und wir konnten Philip Ring, seines Zeichens Executive Producer bei TT Games, ein paar Fragen dazu stellen.
So Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2 is the sequel to Lego Marvel Super Heroes, so we're actually continuing that story on. So if you managed to play the first game and completed it, at the very end there's a scene where the Guardians actually arrive on Earth, and that actually takes place very early on in our storyline. But we're doing things a bit different this time. This story is all about Kang. So Kang's a time traveler, and as a result, he's been taking various locations around the Marvel universe, pulling them out of time to create Chronopolis, which is kind of his domain. And what we want to do is we've got all of these characters who are being pulled out of time, and they have to kind of bound together to kind of defeat Kang and stop him from being the bad guy that he is.
Das Besondere soll vor allem die Vielseitigkeit der Spielewelten sein, wofür letztendlich Schurke Kang verantwortlich ist.
So Chronopolis is the open world kind of hub that we've got in the game. It's 18 different sections that have all been fused together. So there's places there like ancient Egypt right next to a version of New York, but it's kind of noir.
Um die vielen verrückten Abschnitte schnellstmöglich besuchen zu können, öffnet sich die Spielewelt schon relativ früh für euch.
Very early on in the open world section of the game, the barriers are kind of lifted and you can go to any of these locations. So you can literally fly directly from Egypt across the map to go to Xandar because there's something over there that you want to do. And all of these areas are going to be full of characters from these times, from these locations, and then also them kind of permeating into the other ones. So what would happen if medieval knights made their way over to kind of New York and they're kind of running rampant on the street?
Für den üblichen chaotischen Spielespaß sorgen dieses Mal Aufgaben, die sich über mehrere Spielewelten hinweg strecken.
One of my favourite ones is, it's a bit of a silly one, but it is a New York taxi driver has managed to get himself stuck in ancient Egypt because he's now parked his taxi on sand and he can't get out. So we wanted to kind of have some fun things in there as well that are relevant for the kind of what's happening within the world. And not only that, but also the quests are going to be more orientated around the actual characters themselves. So if you're encountering a new hero within the open world, the quest that you might have to do for him will be something relevant for that character.
Wenn es schon Kang the Conqueror geht, dann ist das Spiel mit der Zeit nicht weit.
Time travel and time manipulation is actually a very important part of this game. So the time manipulation mechanic is something that Kang has. So as you're fighting Eson, you'll notice that he'll smash down and then all of a sudden Kang will rewind time and he gets to attack a second time somewhere else. And we use that for puzzle solving as well. So we have various characters who are going to be able to manipulate time, be able to move objects through various states. So what happens if we take this object and move it back to the past or move it into the future? So this ability actually allows you to kind of use puzzles in a different way, and there'll be secrets that you'll be able to find with them. And anytime you're kind of using any sort of time manipulation, there's an effect on screen so you know what's happening and you can see things rewind. So a previously crashed spaceship will then suddenly rewind, it will be back flying around, and then you can use it as a vehicle to kind of help you in the boss battle.
Die Größe der Spielewelt soll innerhalb der Lego-Spiele wohl einen neuen Maßstab setzen.
Chronopolis is about 2 times the size of Manhattan, and what's great for us as well is it's not just like a flat plane, so you can go underwater and there'll be sections underwater that you'll be able to find. So you can also fly straight up and you'll fly out into space and there's nowhere there, and you can visit that as a location as well. So it really is going to feel like a big expansive open world.
Und natürlich gibt es auch wieder jede Menge spielbare Superhelden und Schurken. Oder Philipp?
So the character list for this game is, like, we're really excited about it, and what's great for us is we've started to talk about some of the ones that we've got there. So we've got people like Doctor Strange has been revealed, we've got people like Black Panther, we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy, so you can play as Rocket, you can play as Groot, we've got some variations of Spider-Man, so there's Spider-Man 2099, Spider-Man Noir, we've got characters like Spider-Gwen, so Spider-Gwen's a bit of a fan favourite and we're really excited we get to include her in the game. So there's some really cool characters in there, and then if you get a chance to kind of take a look at things like the trailer that we've got coming, there's some bits and pieces in there, so you'll see like Doc Ock as well, some really cool characters, some real fan favourites, and then not only that, we're going to dig into some really obscure characters as well. So if you're a massive Marvel fan, there'll be something there that I think are genuinely going to be surprised that we managed to include. So
2017 sind Selfies in Spielen fast schon Standard.
Spider-Gwen has a phone, and what you can do is that with a press of a button she can pull that out and then you can use it to start taking pictures, but you can actually flip it around and she can start taking selfies. So yeah, you can take a selfie with you and Baby Groot, maybe having a dance, but there's also things like you can just do it in silly situations. You can pull your phone out and take a picture with Eson if you're playing the level in free play mode and you've just got Spider-Gwen sat there with this giant celestial attacking in the background. So it's really fun, and then the idea is that these pictures you'll be able to use elsewhere in the game.
Co-op? Check.
course, the main storyline is two-player co-op, and that's really important because we love to be able to play as two characters together. We're also announcing that we're going to have a four-player competitive mode, but unfortunately I can't go into too much details about that just yet, but we think it's something really fun and people are really going to enjoy.
Und noch eine tolle Nachricht von Philipp zum Schluss.
Yeah, we're going to have localized German VO throughout the game.
Nachdem wir uns Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2 anschauen durften, wurde es deutlich düsterer. Denn auch die Veröffentlichung von Mittelerde Schatten des Krieges nähert sich mit großen Schritten. Hierfür stand uns Bob Roberts, Design Director bei Monolith Productions, Rede und Antwort.
So the Nemesis system we've expanded in a lot of dimensions. The obvious ways of just making it cover way more different nuances and cases of dynamic things people can do in the world, but also, most importantly, bringing it to the fortress assaults, expanding to influence the world depending on the tribe or the overlord, or all the different ways that it can kind of spread into the ambient life of the region you're in. Also, we've expanded a huge amount on the followers, on the side of recruiting guys into your army and having more personality and more emergent stories that can come out of all the weird relationships that can happen as they fight alongside you, and you help them or send them off to die or ignore them, and they get disgruntled about that, and all the the relationships that can come up because of those relationships as well. So it's a lot more dynamic, and it's a lot more large in scope and scale this time.
Die Nemesis-Gegner sollen deutlich abwechslungsreichere Persönlichkeiten haben.
So you saw in the demo this guy who was kind of singing to you. That's sort of his thing. He's always interacting in song form, and that's just one of the kind of silly, crazy personalities that we've injected. We've got so much more content this time that these guys can have a lot more diverse personalities, and those personalities can follow them through a lot more interesting interactions and respond to a lot more of your actions throughout the game. So there's a lot of guys who are really obsessed with a particular aspect of the game, and they might try and ambush you and jump you when you're, for example, the other day we were reviewing some missions at the studio, and I went on this feast mission where I'm kind of sneaking up on some orcs who are drinking from their grog barrels, and I poison one of the barrels and I sneak off, and then this orc ambushes me, who's like a poison assassin guy, who's like, "Hey, you're using way too much poison, buddy." And I'm like, where did this guy come from? I didn't realize we implemented that. So there's just tons of those weird little possibilities that particular orcs will key into, because we've just added so many more potential cases and conditions to what the procedural system can let them respond to.
Auch der Skilltree wird ordentlich aufgepimpt.
We've expanded the skill tree quite a bit. So before there was kind of just the list of skills, you purchase them all, and then you're maxed out. This game, we have the kind of core skills that all add up. Each of those now, though, has several upgrades that you can choose to equip, and each skill only gets one upgrade equipped at a time, but since you have choices about which one, you can kind of build your character differently and focus on different aspects of the game.
Damit die Spielewelt aufregender wird, wurden etliche neue Mechaniken eingefügt, die sich gegenseitig beeinflussen.
One of the big things we spent a lot of time on this go was really trying to expand the number of different systems that can dynamically interact with each other in the open world. So there's more activities, and there's more diversity to the captains, the Nemesis system, and all that stuff, but there's also just more dynamic systems happening that can create emergent chaos. So we've got new beast types. You've got the Drake flying around, who is going to rain fire down on everybody. You've got the fire now will spread throughout the anything flammable nearby. So if the Drake breathes fire down on an orc camp, the tent's going to catch on fire, and that might spread through the grass nearby and hit a barrel that's sitting over here that they were drinking from and detonate that. So you get these chain reactions going now from more dynamic systems interacting with each other that create like way more just total chaos in the zone than we had last time.
Die Spielewelt ist zudem ein Vielfaches größer, als es im Vorgänger der Fall war.
So we have a lot more regions to visit this time, and they're all bigger than the regions were last time. So it's overall just a much larger space to explore, and a lot more diversity because the environment types are more distinct.
Dadurch steigt natürlich auch die Spielzeit unabhängig von eurem Spielstil enorm.
In any dimension that you play it, though, I think we're at like maybe 2 or 3 times the size of the last game, so it's quite a bit bigger, and we're watching tons of people play and usability and play test at the office, and seeing a pretty consistent pattern of how much longer it's taking, and where people get sidetracked into which activities, because there's just a lot of different player types, you know.
Zum Schluss erfahren wir noch anhand einer Anekdote, welche abgefahrenen Situationen aus den neuen Mechaniken resultieren können.
So every week, basically, in our review meetings, something new will happen that I am surprised by or wasn't sure was possible. So one thing that was just really silly the other day, so I'm fighting this captain, I'm working him down, he gets broken, I'm about to dominate him, but he triggers his retreat. He's like, I'm done, I'm out of here. And he's a trickster, is one of our advanced classes. That's one of the new dimensions that the captains can grow, right? And one of the things tricksters will do is they'll like smoke bomb and kind of teleport somewhere else. They'll just kind of get out of there at a moment's notice. So I couldn't dominate him because he smoke bombed out. And as soon as he did that, he actually smoke bombed right into the hand of a Graug who was reaching to eat somebody. So he smoke bombed to a new spot, gets picked up by the Graug, and before the Graug eats him, it zooms in on him for him to go, "We'll meet again, Ranger. Until next time."
So viele neue Infos zu zwei vielversprechenden Spielen machen richtig Lust auf den weiteren Verlauf des Spielejahres 2017. Bis zur Veröffentlichung von Lego Marvel Super Heroes 2 müsst ihr euch noch etwas gedulden, denn das erscheint am 17. November 2017 sowohl digital als auch im Handel für die Xbox One. Mittelerde Schatten des Krieges lässt nicht ganz so lange auf sich warten und ist bereits ab dem 24. August 2017 für Xbox One digital als auch im Handel erhältlich. Wir sind schon gespannt, welche coolen Infos die nächsten Wochen noch bereithalten, denn die E3 nähert sich mit großen Schritten und wir halten euch natürlich auf dem Laufenden. Jetzt ist aber Schluss mit Infos, das war's mit Greenscreen für diese Woche, wir sehen uns nächste Woche wieder. Bis dahin haltet die Ohren steif und alles andere auch. Ich war der Maxi, ihr das wunderbare Publikum, bis bald und ciao.